probably like many of you, we have a traditional rhythm to Christmas morning in our house. Does anyone pretty much do the same thing every year in the same order, or are we the only ones? No. Of course, it starts at a different time every year, depending on how many kids are there and how excited they are and how old they are. But we start every year, even before breakfast, by opening stocking gifts. These are those smaller, less expensive gifts. And there are three main categories to stocking gifts. The first category is things that are edible. Anyone get edible things on Christmas? Like candy or cookies or hot chocolate bombs? Or how about this? Has anyone gotten the singular gummy bear the size of your head? Okay, I've given that before. It's a lot of fun. Which kind of leads to category number 2, which are gag gifts. Anyone ever get any gag gifts or give gag gifts on Christmas? We're talking like silly socks or a bar of soap that looks like coal. Then the third category of stocking gifts are things that are more practical. This is all the boring stuff that your mom wants to get you, and So things like variety packs of Burt's Bees lip balm, Tide pens, packing cubes for upcoming trips. Well, years ago, we opened something that was completely and totally normal, and yet it changed our life and became a running joke in our family now, even more than a decade later. We started the rotation, and we opened things one at a time, and I think we got through a few traditional stocking gifts, but then someone pulled out of their stocking something that suspiciously looked like a pair of scissors wrapped in wrapping paper, and it was a pair of scissors. My mother-in-law had given it. She was here for the first service. She gave me permission to tell this story, so don't worry about that. But it's not just that they were scissors. They were safety scissors, like the ones with the rounded end. And what made it even more strange was the recipient was an adult in their early 30s. And so we were like, oh, wow, thank you. Definitely category 3, right? We're talking practical gift. Well, the rest of us took our turns, and we too unearthed pairs of safety scissors, including my father-in-law, who at the time was in his 50s. I guess better safe than sorry, right? Well, the rotation returned to the recipient of the first pair of scissors, and they plunged their hand deep into their stocking, and they got a very weird look on their face. And then they pulled out another pair of safety scissors. Now, in my head, I am trying to figure out what category this falls in. Still not edible, but at this point, is it really practical to have 2 pair of safety scissors as an adult in your 30s? This has got to be a gag gift, right? I mean, we're all laughing at this point, and we have no idea why. So it's a gag that we just don't understand. I recall a few other looks of confusion, and then my mother-in-law finally speaks up, and she says, "They're for your car. I have some in my car. I use them all the time." And the recipient gave a polite, "Oh, cool, so these are car scissors. Got it, thank you. So helpful." Well, the rotation continued, and the next person went digging for, guess what? Car scissors. They whipped their hand out victoriously and held it aloft and shouted, "Car scissors!" which then empowered the rest of us to all do the same. An entire family, at this point, all adults, no children yet, shouting car scissors at the top of our lungs. By the end of the rotation, tears were streaming down our face and laughter, and to this day, the memory of 5 or 6 adults opening pairs of safety scissors for Christmas still brings a smile to my face. And every time we used those car scissors, what did we shout? Car scissors! You dig it out of your glove compartment and hold them aloft. But goodness gracious, if these aren't quite literally the most useful Christmas gift I have ever gotten in my entire life. You don't necessarily think of needing scissors in your car until you have them. And then you need them all the time. You will find uses for them all the time. I lost my pair years ago, and I never thought to replace them. But even this week, I was trying to take the tag off of something in my car, and it's one of those things you're trying not to rip the item, and you're also trying not to cut your finger. Anyone ever do that? And you start biting on it, and then you're like, my dentist isn't going to like this. So you're trying to figure out what to do, and you get out your keys, and you look for your sharpest key, and you think, you know what I need right now? Car scissors. Fingers crossed for tomorrow, I guess. But for me, the lesson that I've learned from this experience now that I've gotten to reflect on it for over 10 years, is that the value of a gift may not be noticed or appreciated in the moment, right? It doesn't matter how expensive something is or how good it looks. It doesn't really matter whether it's what you wanted or what you asked for. The value isn't even in whether you appreciated it at the time that it was given. The best gifts are the ones that prove to be exactly what you needed. And this is the lens that I invite you to reflect on the Christmas story through this year. I mean, think about it. Try to set aside what you know about the Christmas story. Erase from your memory all this kind of stuff. And let's say that you were called on a super secret telephone and invited into a brainstorming problem-solving session. And the problem that you were being asked to solve is, how do we get humanity back on track and back in good standing with God? What kind of ideas are you going to toss out? Maybe a list of rules, right? Maybe we just didn't understand what God wanted. Let's just come up with a list of rules. Like maybe start with 10. That didn't work so well. How about this? Maybe some crazy supernatural signs, right? Just start blowing things up, start lightning in the sky, angels singing, lasers, all this kind of stuff. Well, I mean, God did some crazy stuff in Exodus. That didn't always do anything. Maybe they just needed really good preachers and teachers. But we have the prophets, and nobody listened to them. How about this? How about just catastrophic punishment? Let's just show people what happens when you don't listen to God. Well, there was the flood, and Noah's family made it through, but then their kids and grandkids were all messed up too. How about the opposite? Let's just give everybody everything that they need and everything that they want. And if you have everything that you want, surely you will never make a mistake, right? You'll never choose to do your own thing. Wait a second, I'm pretty sure that's how this whole thing started on like the third page of the Bible. But then maybe someone in the room with you shouts out, what if, just spitballing here, what if God came? What if like God just showed up rather than sending stuff or sending other people? What if God came? Now we're cooking. What does that look like? I mean, surely it would be spectacular, right? There'd be like a big palace, probably bring back glowing clouds and lasers and all that supernatural stuff we were talking about earlier. Definitely lots of lightning. There's got to be lightning if God is coming. Would any of us have thought of this? Would this have been plan A for any of us? A baby born to two no-name teenagers. At best born in a barn, but more likely a cave. Placed not in a bed, but in a feeding trough. Not welcomed by the who's who of the time, but rather by shepherds who were the opposite of the who's who. They were the lowest of the low. And when the first people of status showed up, they had come from a long way away. No one in the area cared. No one in the area knew what was going on. And you were listening to the reading earlier. When they did finally hear about what was happening, what did they do? Did they celebrate? No, they wanted to kill the baby Jesus because he was a threat to their power. Our last reading said this: the light was in the world, and the world came into being through the light, but the world didn't recognize the light. The light came to his own people, and his own people didn't welcome him. That is how it has always been, and that is how it still is today. We have all, in our own way, looked at Jesus like a pair of car scissors, thinking, thank you, I guess. I get what you're going for. I'm just not really sure I'm going to use it. But also, like car scissors, if you give Jesus a place in your life, you'll start to recognize the areas of your life where his teaching, where his presence, his love, his forgiveness, his peace are needed. When you let him remind you of your identity and your calling and your purpose, when you stop trying to earn God's love, but let Jesus fill your heart with the love God is already giving you, I think over time, you will come to see that Jesus is the greatest gift any of us could ever have been given. Amen. Oh, and to help you really lock this in, and as like a small thank you, on your way out, make sure you pick up a pair of car scissors. I've got like 200 in the lobby for you.